out in California, in addition to the to watching the debate, got a chance to sit down with Vice President Cheney, former Vice President Cheney. Take a listen.
Another thing we've heard from Bachmann and from a lot of the other candidates is absolutely, they say we would not raise the debt ceiling. I mean, is that responsible? I mean, it's some of the stuff just seems a little divorced from reality, doesn't it?
You've got to maintain the credit worthiness of the United States government. And you've got an obligation, obviously, to pay your debts. I didn't have a problem with the notion that our guys would say, look, we're not doing anything on the debt ceiling until you sign up for deficit reduction, which is what I think they did and what I think they were ultimately able to force the administration to do. So I'm okay by that. But this notion that we aren't going to pay our debts and our obligations, the place to start on that is don't run up to the debts and obligations. That if you're going to keep spending money, you're going to have to borrow it. And we don't want to borrow any more money, so you better find ways to save it.
But you can't simply say we're not going to raise the debt ceiling anymore.
No, you can't.
You've had so many close calls.
Yeah. Well, I've had 5 heart attacks. And, of course, I've had the benefit, the advantage of all our modern technology and all that we've learned over the years. You know, I'm sitting here today because I'm wired with a heart pump that supplements my heart, that's implanted in my chest, that's restored my normal blood flow, so that whereas a little over a year ago I was at end-stage heart failure, my heart wasn't pumping enough blood to service my kidneys and my liver and so forth.
It was quite a scare. How long were you unconscious?
Well, I was out of it for the better part of 5 weeks. It was a combination both of the heart surgery, which they had to go back in, which was difficult because I'd had bypass 20-some years ago, back in '88. And that made the surgery itself more complicated. But once they got in and got the pump installed, then I eventually developed pneumonia as well. So I was heavily sedated on a respirator for several weeks in the summer before last, through a good part of the month of July. And finally in August, after 5 weeks in the ICU, they brought me back to normal status. One of the big problems was being incapacitated that long, flat on your back, in bed, on a respirator. You lose all control over your muscles. They totally atrophy. You can't take a cap off a tube of toothpaste or kick your leg out of the bed or get your leg into the bed without help. And I was in rough shape there for some time, but I had some great people looking after me. My wife was fantastic. She really took care of me and helped bring me back, as did my daughters. You couldn't go through that by yourself. You really needed help, and I had some wonderful help along the way.
When you came out of it, did you have any idea how long you had been out of it? What was that
I didn't. Well, it was fascinating. When I woke up, they had doctors around my bed in the ICU there, and my family was there. And they'd been extraordinarily worried about me. I mean, they'd had somebody with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What I remembered of it was I'd had a dream. And the dream was that I was living in a very nice villa north of Rome, eating great Italian food, drinking a little Italian wine, and enjoying a very nice sort of vacation in northern Italy. And first question they asked was, well, were we with you? I said no. And that got me in a lot of trouble.
You're on your own.
You're on your own. But no, it was, I asked the docs if they could account for that. They said, no, they don't know. When they put you under like that, all that transpires. But I had a doctor with a good Italian name. That may have influenced the choice of side. I had just read Dan Silva's latest novel. Dan writes thrillers, and I'm a big fan of his. And it was staged in part in Italy. And I like Italy. I'd been there a lot over the years. But so while I was under and everybody was really worried about me, I was, what I remember of it is this interlude in northern Italy.
Doesn't sound that bad.
No, I mean 5 weeks and you can be dreaming about drinking Italian wine, eating Italian food.
So Cheney was out there. Obviously, he's got his new book out, In My Time, and extraordinary discussion of that health scare he had. I mean, he was basically end-stage heart failure. I don't know a lot about medical science, but that sounds pretty serious.
Well, and that none of us knew this. That's
Yes.
what's also
None of us had
remarkable.
any
In
idea.
this era, there was not one leak. There was no indication that this man was under, basically, sounds like a medically induced coma for 5 weeks.
And incredible. And now look at him. He sounds like the voice of moderation in the Republican Party.
That's right. It's
And
amazing.
there it is,
how
Dick
that-
Cheney.
Maybe it came from Italy. He brought
All
it
right.
back.
Thank you for watching Top Line. We'll be back. But I mean,
Yeah, and you'll be back.
yeah,
This is
absolutely.
so
It's
fun.
good to actually be on set.